now with the current NSC, with Marco Rubio and the team at Department of War. So there is a seamless integration, but what is different now is we've been given a little bit of responsibility for success, and we're going to do everything we can to make sure the President, his team is able to deliver on time.
Mm-hmm. So much of this conversation happens in the context of our push and pull with China. And not surprisingly, the forum results, again, the survey results this year show that China is viewed as our biggest foreign policy threat. But when drilled down on asked which most concerns you about China, the #1 answer was Chinese economic practices, including technology theft and its trade relationships with other countries. What's your biggest economic concern when it comes to China?
Well, again, we want to be able to ensure that we can get out of the hole that we have been in vis-a their performance with shipbuilding, their ability to produce. We want to make sure that our system is not at a loss as a result. So I'll let the national security team comment with regard to China, but in terms of what capabilities that they do versus what do we do and how those capabilities are resourced, that's really where my head is at. And long term, I want to make sure that we have an affordable, fiscally responsible way to both deal with our debt and to have a strong economy. By the way, the strong economy is the foundation for dealing with your debt. It's the foundation for your defense needs. But we can do all of this, but we're not going to be able to do it if we just do it the way it has been done before. And some of the criticism from Congress, and we have great relationships with Congress, but some of the criticism, I think, comes from just like, well, we've done it this way. We've done it this way. It looks different. Why are you? That's not going to work. And that's really one of the best things about working for President Trump is that he really rejects the notion of like, this is just the way you do it and this is how you respond. He actually wants to be successful. He wants to solve a problem and then challenge his team to do that. And that's, I think, what we're trying to do.
So you mentioned a couple things there. The economy. So the debt service that we have now outrates, by most estimations, our spending on defense.
Yep.
Entitlements are also ahead of that as well. Those are really tough things to tackle, but when it comes to debt, when it comes to entitlements, what can we do? What is the administration willing to do on that front?
Well, I would just bring us back to the success earlier this year, and I remember coming on your show to talk about it, but the One Big Beautiful Bill did many things, including the tax cuts, but it had historic levels of mandatory savings. It had $1.5 trillion of mandatory reforms to the various programs that you were just referring to. And it netted out $500 billion in deficit reduction, which was up there with historic levels. It had welfare reform in it. So again, my view has been, it's not that someone couldn't come up with a plan on how to balance the budget and do all of these things. I mean, you could do that in a long weekend, right? The issue is that we didn't have success. So every fiscal hawk that's been around for 20 or 30 years has had literally no success. This administration has come in and said we've had the largest reconciliation package, the largest numbers of savings, the first rescissions bill since the 1990s. So for the first time, you've had fiscal successes that you can build a longer-term strategy about. They're not just theses. There's enough data there to make them foundational strategies to turn the corner and to make it so it's not just a bunch of spreadsheet warriors putting ideas on a piece of paper, but that you actually have Congress passing and turning the corner and success. And now you go to the American people and just say, look, it's going to take a while. $38 trillion is not going to be done overnight, but we're going to get a ton from the foundational economic successes. We now have $4 trillion in tariffs over 10 years that are a part of our fiscal picture. So these are all part of things that we would not have been able to argue as much in the first term because we were proposing things, but we didn't have that success on the Hill.
What's the plan if the Supreme Court takes away a big chunk of those tariffs?
Well, we have. It would be a harmful decision, but the team is certainly looking through options. I'm not going to preview them here, but between Jameson and Howard and the president's own ingenuity, we're always going to be looking for things that the law allows us to do.
You talked about how it takes time. I mean, you can't turn the U.S. economy on a dime. But there's new polling out this week from Politico. They say 46% of the people they surveyed believe the current cost of living crisis is, quote, the worst they can remember. So, yes, it takes time. When will they start to see relief?
Well, I think they're already seeing relief, and I think that has been evident. The extent to which, we had a 9% inflation for the first time in 40 years. The president has gotten inflation under control. Gas prices are down. And we are hard at work trying to make housing cheaper. I think you'll see ideas from our administration later on a host of fronts. But again, it's a little bit like gaslighting for the other side to have caused an affordability problem and then attack the people that are dealing with it day by day. Again, another thing, that when the tax cuts that were put in the One Big Beautiful Bill come online, I think you will see a great amount of relief at that moment. So we're very optimistic. But again, Shannon, we're working at it very, very diligently because we know that we can always do better, and we want to take whatever folks are send whatever signals, whether market signals or just constituent levels signals, we want to take them seriously.
So one of the things obviously folks are worried about with their own budgets is the potential skyrocketing of some of their Obamacare premiums with the subsidies expiring December 31st. Insurance companies tell us they need to know something by January 15th. There's a little bit of pad in there, but there's a lot of skepticism about whether the House and Senate can get anything done substantive in that time frame. So any indication from the president what he's going to be willing to sign on to, an extension a year or two or three, any other policy ideas that the White House is ready to coalesce around? Well,
I think the president has said he is always willing to tackle the types of issues in healthcare that have led to exploding cost from Obamacare, and so we're always looking for an opportunity to speak into that. We want to make sure that money is going directly to consumers, to have consumer-driven healthcare that lowers the cost, as opposed to funding insurance companies that have been a part of just these exploding costs. So that debate is in real time. And we'll be participating and trying to guide and put forward our ideas, but it's also going to require, on a bipartisan basis, people being willing to not expect just a stark extension of a program that we don't believe has worked for the American people.
When do you think we'll hear something from the president? Because we have a number of lawmakers that are floating plans. Is there anything of interest or that?
Well, I think our team is working with those lawmakers, and sometimes it's we lead very, very loudly, and sometimes our leadership is behind the scenes to craft something where the votes might be there for.
Okay, so this is your second round of doing this job. Comes with a lot of challenges. I want to read some of the things that have been said about you, give you a chance to respond. Christian nationalist, wrecking ball, holy warrior, dangerous, grim reaper, and powerful. How would you describe yourself?
Look,
would you pick any of those?
The beauty of doing the job for the second time is you've gotten a chance to think about it for 4 years. And that is something that the president, I think you are seeing at a national, global level, of a president that got a chance to do this job again. And I've been thinking about it for 4 years. And there were lessons learned, but there was also theses that became conclusions. And so we have tried to think ahead, to put a team in place to be able to deliver for the president. And we're excited about what we're able to accomplish right now. And, I largely don't pay attention to anything that's being said because I think it's distracting, and honestly, it doesn't bother me. We want to continue to perform. You don't get this chance often to be able to be given a moment to be accountable and responsible to history, to serve for a president like this that has given his team, he's not shy away from controversy or conflict, but he does demand good ideas, he does demand success, and he will always have your back. And so when you're given that opportunity, you just have all of the momentum in the world to be able to deliver. And so I'm excited about it, and the rest of it is just stuff I'll go off my back.
Well, we know you have a lot of challenges ahead, so we thank you for making time for us. OMB Director Russ Vought.
Thank you, Shannon.